The latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn. Tune in Sunday mornings from 11 to 12 for Destination Retirement with Robert Kuhn, sponsored by Kuhn Capital Partners in Oak Brook.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out. Poundsy.
That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with the Wirepoints.org boys about all things Illinois policy related, and we'll get to founder of Wirepoints.org, Mark Glennon, momentarily. This story piqued my interest. Suburban man killed his son's emotional support dog. 47-year-old from Bloomingdale is being held without bond after prosecutors said he killed his son's emotional support dog. His kids had confronted him about the dog's whereabouts after finding Ace's cage empty, Ace being the name of the dog. The children later found Ace, a 4-year-old mixed breed pit bull registered as an emotional support animal, on the garage floor, bleeding and swollen with a leash knotted around his neck. One kid called Mom, who came home from work, and called the police. Blood was visible around Ace's mouth and nose. The left side of his face appeared to be swollen. A wooden table leg with apparent dog hair and staining was recovered from the garage, along with a bloody pillowcase found in the backyard patio. A necropsy conducted by vets found the dog suffered injuries consistent with blunt force trauma and blood loss sufficient to cause his death, so Hanover Park police arrested this dude. I wonder if it was that illegal immigrant who works for Hanover Park police. DuPage County State's Attorney Bob Berlin. The allegations are simply unconscionable and will be met with the full force of the law. Okay. I mean, I'm all for, swift justice for those who commit acts of animal cruelty. But here's the kicker. This guy was on pretrial release in DuPage County for domestic battery, aggravated battery to a peace officer, and assault at the time of his arrest for killing Ace, the family dog. So, I just want to understand something. So, you get a walk, released pending trial, domestic battery, mom or kids, I would think, aggravated battery of a cop, and assault. He's out on pretrial release for that. He's being held without bond for killing the dog. Anybody else want to do a stop, look, and listen at the impact of the Pritzker Purge Law? A few years in now? Oh, don't worry, it's coming. Or is it? Speaking of domestic abuser, allegedly, Chris Welch is the House Speaker. He told the Springfield Press Corps that he's waiting for a report from the Chief Judge of Cook County about the impact of the Safety Act, the Pritzker Purge Law, before deciding whether to pursue any legislative changes to it. There's just one catch. The Chief Judge's office, Chief Judge of Cook County's office, says there is no Safety Act report coming. Of course not. well, when he gets around to it, if he feels like it, then I'll look at it, and that may or may not inform any legislative changes I pursue with respect to the Safety Act. Meanwhile, you could just look at the reporting of CWB Chicago and note how many people on pretrial release for a felony have killed or attempted to kill another individual. How many more victims have been piled up at the hands of repeat violent offenders on pretrial release for felonies? You could just look at CWB Chicago's reporting. You don't need Chief Judge Beach's office to put the clips together for you. But that would be if you were interested in actually doing something to improve public safety. I mean, good grief. For more on this and related matters, Mark Glennon, founder of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org. Mark, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Dan, you're making me feel like an emotional yo-yo this morning. I woke up just laughing because I was listening to your segment on Don Lemon up in Minneapolis.
He is funny.
And then you hit me with the story about the dog. I'm an animal lover, and this ridiculous stuff about Welch and the lying about the Safety Act. It's just a big clown show, and again, I don't know what to feel anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, I the idea of doing a bit of a what happened after we passed this law kind of look-see, it makes sense to me. I just don't think anybody really is that particularly interested to do it. So we're going to have more and more of these absurd cases. I mean, this is an absurd case, but it's less humorous when it's somebody getting killed or violated in a serious way by somebody where this could have been prevented if somebody was just held over for trial. And we've just seen that happen literally hundreds of times over the last few years since this legislation was enacted.
Yeah, I mean, how much more evidence do you need? It's been in the news constantly, thanks to CWB especially, that documents these kinds of things. Time for some tweaking, I'd say.
Tweet let's not do anything drastic, like repeal it. I mean, just because it is deteriorating public safety or contributing to the deterioration of public safety, and it is producing more crime, preventable crime. Hey, let's not do anything drastic, just on the margins, just tinker like they did initially after Pritzker won in 2022 when he said there was nothing wrong with it, and then they had a special session to improve it. Anyway, I digress. I wanted to get your take on this, too. This is very interesting. BLM Brandon, he's the mayor of Chicago. He wants to buy back the parking meters. There's only 57 years remaining on the lease, the deal that Mayor Daley, Richard M., cut when he sold the parking meters to a consortium led by Morgan Stanley, set up in part by a middleman named Bill Daley. Yes, it's a relation. Alliance Capital Partners, Morgan Stanley, and the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Abu Dhabi, $1.15 billion for 75 years of control over the meters. We're only 18 years in, and we spent the $1.15 billion in about the first 5 minutes after the deal was cut. Now BLM Brandon wants to buy them back. Where's he going to get the money to do that, do you think, Mark?
Or the brains to negotiate a deal.
Well, let's jump off one bridge at a time, shall we?
Yeah, who in their right mind thinks they've got the capacity to negotiate a proper price on that? But there's something interesting about that deal. It wasn't a sale. It's actually what's called in the bankruptcy law an executory contract. It was styled as a franchise agreement, and if the city were in bankruptcy, actually it would be subject to being voided. That's one way to get out of it. But Brandon's don't look for any relief from Chicago's problems with Brandon trying to negotiate a buyback deal here.
Yeah, revenue reached $160 million in 2024, but I mean the renters, if you will, this contract as you described it. I mean they've recouped their initial investment like a decade ago. That's how bad this deal was.
Oh yeah, I mean this was just a gold mine from the start. There was absolutely no logic behind the low price that was paid. It was all rigged by, Daley and his friends, and what his son, I forget, was on the list of bankers that negotiated the deal. Or it stunk to high heaven, and we're still paying for it.
Speaking of creative financing and financial accounting, the Chicago Teachers Union is under federal inquiry by the U.S. Department of Labor for questionable audits of its, accounting for its business. One city council human stands firmly with CTU. He is Byron Sigcho Lopez. He's one of the out and proud socialists on the city council. He had this to say.
Byron Sigcho Lopez, alderman of the 25th Ward, and here as an elected official, as a father of Chicago Public Schools children, I stand with the Chicago Teachers Union because they stand for the schools that our children deserve. They fight for librarians, they fight for clinicians, they fight for our children, they fight for public education for all of us. These allegations, these false accusations to come after the financials of the Chicago Teachers Union is nothing but a stunt. They have nothing to hide. They have always stood for the people, and that's what we need to stand, all of us, behind the Chicago Teachers Union and behind labor. This is a time to unite and to make sure that we fight fascism. This is a time to reject this kind of attacks to silence us, and this is what we want the Chicago Teachers Union to fight back and make sure that Trump and his cronies take off the hands of our Chicago Teachers Union. We have your back.
I understand. I have not seen them yet, Mark, but I understand that the CTU audits all received an adverse opinion, and I can only imagine what some of the details and comments on some of those details are from whoever the auditors, whoever were the auditors that conducted these audits. I can't wait, and I hope that either this House committee or the U.S. Labor Department makes these audits public if we can't get CTU to do so.
Yeah, I mean, it's real simple. If there's nothing to hide, give us the audits. I haven't seen them yet either. Austin Berg has an article up recently indicating the potential criminal conduct that's coming to light because of them. This is an ongoing investigation. I'm pretty confident that the feds are looking at this hard, and it's about time. I mean, the CTU has just been shameless in hiding their financial condition on this for years. And thank goodness for the lawsuit to try to force this to get released.
Just on another note, just picking our heads up and looking around at what other states are doing, I do note that another border state of Illinois is moving in the direction of reducing the state and local tax burden on its residents. The governor there in Missouri, Mike Kehoe, wants to cut the top rate of 4.7% in Missouri and use that as a jumping off point to join 9 other states that have no state income tax. So, we see all sorts of tax reductions in the states around us, at least before Tony Evers got elected in Wisconsin. And yet here we are in Illinois talking about how having the highest state and local tax burden in the nation just isn't enough for us.
Yeah, and with the new legislative session, they're looking at ways to raise taxes, maybe even rekindling the idea of a progressive income tax. The big trend that's going on nationally is this resorting of conservatives moving to conservative states and vice versa. And with that, you get these policy changes where those booming red states are able to make those cuts. This is only going to get worse. I mean, we were really heading for a separation, not just politically, but on their financial capacity, with higher taxes being forced on blue states and red states cutting their taxes, as Missouri is right on our doorstep, able to do, apparently.
Mark Glennon, founder of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Dan. Take care.
Take care. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it